Hello there guys, and welcome to another Forza Horizon 5 video on my channel. So you've joined me in the Eliminator in Forza Horizon 5 Mexico, which is where I spend a lot of my time when I'm playing. When I'm not doing the seasonal videos and completing the festival playlist myself, I'm usually found in the arena of the Eliminator. And just earlier today, or depending on when this goes out and when you watch it, but on the 18th of March, at around 11:30 AM, I got my 600th win in the Eliminator. Now you may have seen a couple of months ago, I think it was just before Christmas, a couple of days before Christmas, I uploaded a video of highlights of my 500th win. So it's been just under 3 months since I got my 500th win, and that one was gifted to me, so you can find that video on the channel. It's not that long ago really in terms of how many videos I've produced, because obviously before Christmas there was a bit of hiatus of the channel, but since then I've rebooted up the festival playlist challenges, so it isn't that far back in the video list. However, you will see it because the thumbnail, it's quite jam-packed, and it says that I was gifted the win. It also included highlights of my 499th win, because that one was a bit more interesting than the other one, the 500th win. So in this video I'm going to be doing a similar style, and I'm going to show you actually highlights of 4 games, including the 600th win, and they are the 3 games leading up to the 600th win and then the 600th win itself. So we'll be starting off with game number 2282 out of the ones that I've played, and that was win 598. Then we've got win, or should I say game 2283, where I unfortunately lost that round quite early on. In game 2284 I got high level car drop and then proceeded to get my 599th win with 4 eliminations. And then we'll be taking a look at the 600th win, which was game 2285 of the Eliminator. I'll be including a couple of highlights of head-to-head races, and then we've got the final race. We've also got the final race from win number 598, but I didn't record win number 599 because it was pretty much a bit of a boring one really, once I got into the lead. So that is how it will work, and I'll be doing commentary as we're going through the video. I'll be commentating on what I'm doing, the decisions that I'm making, and various other things as we go along. But I hope you enjoy this highlights video, and hopefully I can crack on and get my 700th win as well. And I'll also be talking through the statistics at the end, and we'll compare them to the statistics when I got 500 wins to see how many wins it's actually taken me, or how many games it's taken me to get 100 wins, and what my win percentage was then, what it has been in the past 100 games, and also what it is now. We'll be able to compare how the last 100 games or 100 wins have gone for me in the Eliminator. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you very shortly when I reappear with some more commentary. Okay then, so you join me in game number 2282, played at approximately 10:45 AM, or at least that's when this clip started, according to the game save of the clip. So all of this commentary is just going to be me watching it back in the editing software, and just commenting on what I am doing. So I'm currently upgrading to the Ford Bronco. I started in the Aerial Nomad from a drop on the roundabout at the western side, the eastern side of the motorway, and that was the start of the game. Raced in the Nissan Suru. Now I'm in the Bronco and I'm hungry for my next opponent. I'm tempted to go over there, but then I spot this dot here, see it's a Liberty, and just fly in for the challenge, and then I know it's going to be somewhere in front of me because of the arena being behind me. So now I'm kind of aiming for this bridge on the left, but I end up not taking the bridge because I have come a cropper trying to get on it from this angle, and I just plough straight towards the motorway. As you can see, the Liberty I'm racing has gone to the motorway from a very sharp angle, and they're going to be getting on the motorway or the highway. Meanwhile, I'm just ploughing through in the Bronco. Nothing much to be talking about here, just kind of doing a bit of commentary, but as you'll see in a second, this pink dot that is directly in front of me on the mini-map on the highway here in the Porsche Desert Flyer, for some reason decides to try and wipe me out. He was slightly delayed, so at this point I was thinking to myself, finishing the race, it's quite early in the game, he's in a Desert Flyer, I'm going to cancel the upgrade and I'm going to race him, because I don't like people that try to wipe other racers out when they're in a race. I can also see it's being caught up by another dot, so it was important that I cancelled that challenge as quickly as possible. And it turns out that it's an Audi RS7, probably travelling about 180 miles an hour, and the RS7 then pulls up beside me. Obviously I want to dive over to the right, so I brake, and then he tries to cut across me as well, so that's the second griefer, as they are called. At this point I'm too focused on what Audi did and trying to build up my speed that I completely forget about going through the middle of the Horizon Festival, but I do realise just in time, and I'm hoping that the Porsche Desert Flyer also hasn't realised that. As I come round here, I can see there's a dot coming towards me, so I try to get over to the right out of the way, but instead he decides to plough straight at me. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch his gamer tag. I do wish that the game would display the gamer tag, because I would probably hunt them down or try and report them, because it's unsporting behaviour, and hence why I was so desperate to get rid of this Porsche Desert Flyer as well, because there was no reason for people to wipe out others in the race. So that is my first or second head-to-head of game number 2282, aka win number 598. Okay then, so you now join me later on in the game once I've upgraded to the Funko after the Lambo Murcielago and the VW Andretti Beetle. So I am now in the Funko. I was trying to set up a trap there, but that guy in the GTR, as you'll see in a second, managed to steer clear of that, even though he didn't know I was there. He was kind of chasing. Now we're both preparing for the final showdown, which will be starting from this highway position, and we'll be going up the highway in the way that we are now both pointing at the start of this final showdown. Sometimes people can get tricked into going for the pin when you challenge people this late in the game, but this guy, Toon Smith, was well aware of what was going on there, and he's instead making sure he's prepared for the final showdown, although he's probably slightly worried that he's in a GTR and I'm in a Funko. Similar top speed, but obviously the Funko gets there a lot quicker. So I always like to launch the Funko in 6th gear, hence why I'm now revving it in 6th gear, because the first 5 gears are pretty much pointless. I get a near perfect launch. I've got a slight bit of damage on the timeout bar, however I'm hoping that I'm going to be alright. As you can see, he tries to block me, which is fair enough when you're in your own race, but that Desert Flyer from previous head-to-head, I have no reason to do that, considering he wasn't even racing anybody. It got a bit sketchy there. I thought that I'd gone slightly too early because of the timeout, but luckily I didn't. I pop it into the wider view, which I don't usually race with, but just because it's the fun car, I want to see where I'm going. And now here's some tactics. I'm swapping over to the other end of the highway, because you can see the finish is directly to my right, almost a right angle, and I'm going to come off just before this tree, in between the tree and the pylon, to land on there, trying to keep as much speed up as possible. However, that's easier said than done turning in the Funko, which doesn't really want to turn. Then I keep it in 8th or 9th gear off-road to make sure we're not having any silly wheel spin nonsense from the big engine. And then here I do slightly lose control with the barriers, but then I get it back again. We plough our way through the trees. I know we're heading into the jungle. I'm not quite sure how far we're heading into the jungle at this point, however I know that it's going to be somewhere in there. I'm banking on my big lead to help me if I crash a couple of times in here, which is highly likely considering I am in the Funko. Obviously I just choose to send it back down to 7th gear, and I land perfectly, make my way through the trees, see you at the finish line, and there we go, back into normal view. And that is win number 598 for you, the final showdown. You now join me in game number 2283, and this clip rolls from approximately 11:03 AM. I've just beaten a BMW X5M, taken their car, and I've decided to take the Porsche Desert Flyer. I wouldn't usually do this, but because it's early on in the game, I want to try and get a level 6 or 7 at least for the final showdown, depending on how the game goes. So I've got my Porsche, and then this guy upgrades. I'm not sure where he's going to spawn, because there was kind of a dot coming towards. I don't know if it was a different person, but this Exocet manages to snipe me. Luckily, he ends up following me in the wrong direction, which means that I am not at an immediate disadvantage when I start his head-to-head. Obviously, the Exocet is a beast acceleration-wise, so he is catching me. However, that airtime definitely slowed him down, and actually, the Porsche Desert Flyer's top speed is a bit better, at least when you're not coming down the volcano. Coming down the volcano when the Exocet's got a bit of a downhill boost, it could probably do about 140, but on most occasions it maxes out at around 131, and luckily for me, Desert Flyer, although it is very slow, it can do 134, 133 kind of bounces off the red liner very awkwardly. So I would usually follow the road round, but because of the position of the finish line and me not wanting to be caught up by the Exocet if it uses its off-road powers, I decide to straight line it. I'm hoping that there's nothing here. I'm theoretically thinking that I can get through, but the developers decided to place that container there, and unfortunately I tried to block him, but I wasn't really watching where he was going. I was hoping that I'd just get there ahead of him, but unfortunately I didn't, and so that game ends there. Moving swiftly on then, we now have game number 2284, and this started at around 11:06, or at least that is where I found this level 8 car drop, the number 37 Pro 2 truck. I screenshotted it, but that is all of the evidence I have of this round. I went on to win in the Mercedes AMG 1 versus a Hoonigan RS200 with 4 eliminations. It was based on the arena just to the west of the main Horizon Festival, the one that uses kind of part of the runway and then that rocky area. So I upgraded to the Andretti Beetle, then up to the AMG 1, and then got a further 2 eliminations in that. But I didn't want to risk anything, wanted to make sure that I prepared for the final showdown, because that is a bit of a risky arena with all the rocks. So that is all that happened in that game, so we will now swiftly move on to our final game, which is where I got my 600th win. Okay then, so here we are. It is game number 2285, and this started around 11:33 AM. So I'm in a Porsche 959, I've just upgraded to it, and I am looking for my next race. Now I am currently within the arena that will be the final arena. It's the same one we saw from the previous win, 599, that's from the 588th win that we just saw in the Funko. So it's the same arena, and again I am setting up a Ridgecrest track where I was parked in the Funko in the second clip of that 598th game. I challenged the Metro. I know that the race is going in this direction. I've just got to do a bit of a tricky manoeuvre here, making sure that I don't flip the car over, so I slow down. I know I've got plenty of time because I've sniped that Metro. So the MG Metro is mine if I want to take it now. Obviously, if I were to be offered a better level 7 like the AMG GT 4-door, then I would probably have taken that, but in this case I would think I was offered the Porsche Cayenne, so I chose the Metro, hoping that I would be able to perform another snipe and get myself a level 10. And level 10 is exactly what I got. As you can see in this head-to-head, this car has just cancelled his upgrade, so I know that it's either going to be a level 9 or a level 10, or it's likely to be. And they fall for it. They fall for coming round here in the completely wrong direction. We are going back where we just come from, so Beaver 562959 will be eliminated unless they can perform a miracle. And that being said, the Metro is very likely to flip, so I am praying to the heavens that it isn't going to flip going over this jump, because it is very prone to doing so, but luckily it doesn't. I'm able to get myself this Funko, and I'm able to prepare for the second Funko final of the morning from this arena. So, I obviously upgraded the Funko. I could have taken the Focus RS RX and hoped for a better level 10, i.e. the Barocchio, the AMG 1. However, being this late in the game, I thought I'd just take the Funko. I was slightly curious as to what this was on the rock. I was going to snipe them if I was in the challenge radius, but I chose not to hang around after that, and as you can see, they drove away anyway. I think it was in Exocet, or it might have been a Nomad. I don't think it was the other Funko. There was another Funko in the lobby. I'm not sure I don't think it was that. However, it could have been. It was definitely some form of buggy, and the Funko is technically a buggy. Obviously this Focus, it's trying to get a last minute snipe, but I know that he won't get there in time. Perhaps I could have got there in time, but I didn't want to be out of place for the final. And I would also like to say as well that I didn't actually know that this was going to be my 600th win. I was thinking it was around 598 because I checked my stats the previous day, and it was around 595, so I thought I could be within a chance, but obviously I'm up against the AMG 1 here. It's alright most of the time, but with it being on the highway, I thought that I was a bit of a goner, especially if it was going to be an all highway final. There's the other Funko there. I have gone slightly early this time. I thought I'd gone at the same time as I did in the previous race that I showed. However, I clearly didn't. Still got a nice start, but obviously, even with a good start like that, the AMG one's always going to catch you. I tried to block them, a bit like the GTR did to me in the previous one. However, they just managed to creep round me there. So again, I'm into the wider view. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I hop onto the other side of the highway. It's not the same finish line this time, so as you can see now, I turn my camera around because I'm trying to visualise where the final is. I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective. I could have carried on the highway and gone through the north of the pyramids and then come back down, but instead I've chosen to go this way and follow the AMG 1. And at this point I think that I'm in with a chance because I can see the AMG 1 straight line in it. I know that if you follow this dirt path, it takes you to the bottom of the pyramid, so then you can get around the bottom. I probably could have gone around the other side of that tree, but I chose to play it safe to make sure that I didn't have any other weird things going on. And then I just cruised to the finish. A nice bit of a drift. I didn't plan to do this drift, but obviously the Funko's the Funko. Slide across the finish, back in normal view once again. And there goes the AMG 1. I give it a little honk just to say GG when it comes by. So that is win number 600, and it was a fairly decent game. It could have been better. Obviously not many eliminations. However, that is the game. And that is my 600th win, and obviously we've got the highlights from the other ones as well. I was quite happy with that FS though. I think that the lack of eliminations was made up for by that comeback in the final showdown, when really the AMG 1 should have had that in the bag, and I'm not really sure what the other Funko was doing either. So now we will take a look at my stats. They should be already up on the screen, but I'm just going to prepare what I want to say about the stats, and I'm going to prepare the stats from 500 as well, so that we can compare, like I said at the start of the video. So I shall see you in a second. Righto then, so it is time for me to whip out my nerdy stats, and we shall do a little bit of analysis on the stats from 500 games all the way up to 600 games, and we'll also do a bit in terms of my total statistics as well. So starting off then, to state the obvious, just so we know where we're starting off. So win number 500, as I may have said earlier on, came on the 17th of December 2023, and that meant that there were 92 days between the 500 and the 600th win, because the 600th came on the 18th of March 2024. Then we've got the games played. So when I was at 500 I'd played 1982 games, and now, or at the time of 600, I had played 2,285 games. So that is a difference of 303 games. Then in terms of final showdowns, back at 500 it was 661 final showdowns. It is now 794. In terms of eliminations, this is a bit of an interesting one, which I'll come to in a second. We have got 6,067 eliminations back at 500, which is now 7,125, so there's 1,058 eliminations come in the last 100 games, which I suppose is kind of average. You would actually say that I would have had more before then, because 500 would be more than 100 per 1,000 eliminations, if you get what I mean, because 600 from 7,000 and 500 from 6,000. And then in terms of card drops, obviously not too important, but back at 500 this was 2,618 card drops claimed. Obviously I've had my fair share of no card drop wins as well. and then we've got 3,050 card drops claimed now, which means that in the past 303 games I have claimed 432 card drops. So, what does all this mean realistically? I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, but basically this is some of the calculations that I have made to try and figure out how well I've actually played. So in the past 100 wins, that's 303 games, as I said before, so that means that I've had a win rate in the past 303 games of 33.03%, or pretty much just 33%. But the overall win rate back at 500 wins was 25.23%, so just over 1 in 4 games I won. It is now gone up by around 26.25%, so that's how likely it is that I will win a game overall, but obviously the win rate in the last 303 games has been higher than that, 7% higher roundabouts. Then we move on to final showdowns, so 100 wins out of 133 final showdowns out of 303 games. So that means that I have reached the final showdown just under half of the time, so I would estimate around 45% of the time. I didn't actually do that calculation, but when I have reached the final showdown, I have won it on 75.2% of occasions. I think I've done a couple of Beetleborgs Tsuru runs in the past 303 games, not too many though. Most of them have been normal games because I don't tend to bother much with trying to win in low level cars, so most of them are legitimately what happens, and I don't quit any rounds, so I do legitimately win around 75% of my final showdowns, and that is apparent as well on the whole, where at 500 games the total win rate in final showdowns was 75.64%. It is now 75.57%, so it's gone down by 0.07%, and that is around 0.4% above what it has been in the last 100 wins, so around about 3/4 of the games won on the whole there. Then we come on to eliminations, so 1,058 eliminations in 303 games, so that means 3.49 eliminations per game for the last 303 games. However, it's a bit of a difficult one because it doesn't filter out whether I won it or not, so I may have been eliminated, for example, with 3 eliminations, and I may have been eliminated around halfway through the round, or I may have been eliminated right at the end after, say, 6 or 7 eliminations. And it doesn't filter out whether I've actually won with that eliminations or whether it's, you know, the full round or not. So I kind of did some calculation, not sure whether this is right or not because I've kind of forgotten how to do maths. But basically, if we do 1,058 divided by the 100 wins, so the ones that I've actually won in the past 303 games, that equates to 10.58 eliminations per game. And then the ones that I've lost, which is of course 203 because I've won 100 of the last 303, then 1,058 divided by 203 is 5.21 eliminations per game. And then I kind of did some maths with that as well. So we've got 10.58, which is the when I win, minus 5.21 when I've lost in the last 303 games, makes it 5.37 per game. And I also added them and divided them by 2 to get a mean, which came out at 7.90 per game, which leads me to believe, if I am right, that through that average, depending or regardless of whether I've won the game or not, I have had an average of 7.90 eliminations per game in the last 303 games. Again, not sure if that's right or not. And finally, we'll take a look at card drops. So 432 claimed in 303 games. That means that obviously, like I said, sometimes I won't have claimed any and I'll have got a no drop win. However, on some occasions I'll have claimed 2 or 3, and that brings out an average of 1.43 drops claimed per game. So you know, realistically, probably most of the time I'll claim 2 drops per game, and then sometimes I won't claim any, and that brings out an average of 1.43. So, there's some nerdy stats for you. I hope you, the stat nerds, have enjoyed that. I wouldn't say that I'm too focused on the stats. I don't dwell on whether I've got like a 50% win rate or what. Like I said as well, I don't quit, so I like to keep it real. I'm not really too bothered, but I would prefer to actually see what I really how good I really am in terms of the statistics, rather than trying to fake it. That's just the way I am. I don't want to look at my stats and believe that I've won 75% of games when I've actually only won 25%. Again, that's just who I am. But overall, I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. I do thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll be able to get back in the arena very soon and on to 700. So if the statistics are anything to go by, in around 3 months' time, so near the end of June 2024, I will be bringing out a video with my 700th win, but we'll just have to see how that goes. Obviously I am improving as I go, but I do have some off patches as well where I'm perhaps not as good for a couple of days and then I get some form back, so it's very subjective, but I will do my best, and hopefully I'll be able to do some Eliminator streams as well for you guys to get involved with me in the arena. So thank you for watching once again, and I will hopefully see you later on in the week when I'll be doing a guide on the Spring Season Festival playlist as usual. So, see you then. Bye.